Imagine waking up to news of explosions rocking a capital city. That's what happened in Caracas overnight. The U.S. carried out large-scale strikes on Venezuela, capturing President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores. President Trump announced it himself, saying they've been flown out of the country to face justice. But why did this happen? Let's dive into the reasons behind this bold move. First, drug trafficking charges. Maduro and his wife were indicted in the U.S. back in 2020. Attorney General Pam Bondi says they'll face the full wrath of American justice on U.S. soil. There was a $50 million bounty on Maduro's head for information leading to his capture. The U.S. sees Venezuela under Maduro as a hub for narcotics flooding into America. Second, regime change. The Trump administration has long viewed Maduro as an authoritarian dictator. He's been in power for 13 years, accused of violence against protesters and opponents. The U.S. wants to curb the flow of migrants from Venezuela, with hundreds of thousands already on U.S. soil. Trump hopes a stable Venezuela will allow them to return home faster. Third, oil. Venezuela sits on the world's largest proven oil reserves. Mismanagement under Maduro has crippled the economy, leading to hyperinflation and food shortages. The U.S. aims to stabilize the region and perhaps gain better access to those resources. Geopolitics play a role too. Russia and China have been trying to set up bases in Venezuela. This violates the Monroe Doctrine, which the U.S. sees as an existential threat. Intelligence shows Moscow and Beijing aren't just visiting, they're entrenching. Now, what exactly happened? It started around 1 a.m. local time in Caracas. A series of explosions hit the city and other parts of Venezuela. Multiple helicopters were seen in the air, part of a U.S. Special Forces operation. They removed Maduro and his wife from a heavily fortified premises in the capital. The operation was startling, successful, daring, and efficient. Strikes targeted places like La Carlota Air Base, knocking out power. People ran outside in panic as explosions terrified the millions in Caracas. The elite Delta Force carried it out, the same group that captured Saddam Hussein years ago. They tracked Maduro with CIA assistance, authorized to operate covertly in Venezuela. Trump gave the green light several days ago, according to sources. This follows a months-long pressure campaign, including strikes on drug facilities. Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez says she has no idea where Maduro is. She demands proof of life from the U.S. government. Russia is asking for immediate clarification on the U.S. claims. In Moscow and Beijing, they're shocked at how their ally was whisked away. Congress wasn't briefed beforehand, raising questions from lawmakers. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been calling senators to explain. Senator Mike Lee says the strikes protected U.S. personnel capturing Maduro. Trump relied on his Article 2 authority as commander-in-chief. Rubio anticipates no further action now that Maduro is in custody. Democrats are already asking about what's next for Venezuela. Trump addressed the nation from Mar-a-Lago at 11 a.m. Eastern. He's eager to proclaim success and discuss justice for drug charges. This echoes past U.S. interventions, like the arrest of Panama's Noriega 35 years ago. Now, looking ahead. What happens next in Venezuela? The no man's for nodal man raskid, and military is here's, and knowing there is bastards here, and no man's for nodal man says. The hard questions are about the crippled economy and what to do with it. Inflation, food shortages, these drove Maduro's authoritarianism. The U.S. must plan the aftermath with the same efficiency as the capture. Past operations like bin Laden's capture succeeded in the raid but failed in the long term. Venezuela's military was hit hard. What happens to them now? Will Delcy Rodriguez seek détente with the U.S. to avoid a similar fate? The U.S. is reactivating old bases like Roosevelt Roads in Puerto Rico. Henry E. Rolson Airport in the U.S. Virgin Islands is becoming a logistics hub. U.S. Coast Guard is seizing oil tankers to choke off regime cash flow. Ships like USS Jason Dunham are jamming communications and radars. USS Stockdale provides missile defense against counterattacks. USS Iwo Jima is for amphibious assaults, suggesting possible boots on the ground. From Trinidad and Tobago, USS Gravely blockades escape routes. Yo Teens Well, the 19 USS Lake Erie coordinates the entire operation. Air power: B-52s for cruise missiles, B-1 Lancers for fast strikes. MQ-9 Reapers track and destroy mobile threats. F-35s penetrate airspace to take out S-300 defenses. V-22 Ospreys insert special forces deep inside. KC-135 tankers keep planes fueled. C-17s bring supplies. Is a full invasion coming? The setup suggests preparation for more. Venezuela's response: layered defenses, militia of 4.5 million. Cartels use fast boats and jungles for asymmetric warfare. Russia might supply drones like Shahed for counterstrikes. Submarines pose underwater threats with torpedoes. P-8 Poseidons monitor for surveillance and electronic warfare. The U.S. has superiority, but Venezuela relies on terrain and numbers. In the end, this could lead to regime change and economic rebuild. But risks of escalation with Russia and China loom large. Venezuelans hope for a prosperous future, not further collapse. The world watches as this unprecedented event unfolds. What do you think will happen next? Share in the comments. Stay tuned for updates on this developing story. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more insights.